Hello and welcome everyone. This is Phoenix with your Patriot Health Report for the weekend of August 3rd, 2024. All the health facts you need to know for the Patriot on the go. And of course, I am joined by Bob Patrick today from down in St. Petersburg, Florida, the headquarters of Boomers Forever Young. And today, the question I have, you probably have heard, you are as young as you feel, but perhaps it's as young as you think. And Bob's going to share some information with us that's pretty amazing. It's PsychoGenic Aging and the entire psychology of aging, how it affects you, etc. And I'm going to stop right there because I really have not heard a lot of this, and Bob's got that info we need. Anyway, Bob, how is it going? How are things going down in Florida? And what's up? Do you have anything, as you tell us that, any specials or anything going on with your business or news you want to share? Let's knock that out too.
Yeah, sure. We do have some news and some things to let people know about, including we're doing a 50% off sale on 7 different products.
Wow.
And it'll be going on until, beginning part of August. And some of them are on sale at such great prices. It's really crazy. Like, for example, we have a really, really popular sleep aid called Goodnight Formula. And right now you can get it for like less than $15.
Oh, wow. That is crazy. That is really low.
Yep. And the same, like for olive leaf extract is the same, less than $15 for that. And then we also have other things that people find popular, like resveratrol and ashwagandha. Those are on sale half price as well as our vitamin B complex and our magnesium. These are popular nutrition products that most people have heard of or take already, and right now that's the time to go ahead and get them. And the other one that's really important is lignans, which is really great for helping people with some of the things that we'll be talking about today with psychogenic aging, because lignans especially help women in their middle age to beginning of older age with menopause symptoms. And we have lots of the women that work here at our office have been using lignans for years, over 10 years, and they all swear by it, how great they are for helping with symptoms of menopause. And those are on sale half price as well. And this is not a buy one, get one free, Phoenix. This is 50% off. So you don't have to get 2 of the same thing. You can, whatever you get, you can get 50% off.
That's a rare thing for you guys. I've always seen the BOGO. You guys do the BOGO thing, which is a great deal. I mean, I always jump on that one too. I'm like, oh yeah, and that's whenever I like to get my boomers and everything else. But this is a rare thing for you. Very interesting. Grape leaf extract. You explained the lignans and everything. Remind everybody what that's good for. I mean, sleep aid, that's very obvious. The lignans, you just explained. What about the grape leaf extract? What is that good for, Bob?
Well, it's actually olive leaf extract.
Oh, excuse me, olive leaf. Olive leaf. I stand corrected.
Yep, that's okay. And so olive leaf is best known for its beneficial effects on your immune system. So people will take it if they have a cold or the flu or things like that. But olive leaf is something you can take continuously, take it every day. And it not only helps boost your immune system, but it helps with blood pressure and cholesterol support as well. And some people notice a really good effect in helping with blood sugar as well. So it's also, it has these neuroprotective effects, and a lot of aging, is based on people's brains breaking down over time, and olive leaf is really good at protecting your brain from aging.
Hmm. The reason I asked that because I am almost positive, and I have pretty good memory, that we have never actually covered olive leaf extract on
Mm-hmm.
Patriot Health Report. So thank you for sharing that
Yeah,
information with us.
yeah, sure. And the other update we have is that our Myotrol project is moving along nicely. This is the week that they're finishing with the gel caps, meaning when you
Hmm.
put liquid into gel caps, they have to sit out and cure for a few days. And then at the facility that we use, they actually have people go through, and we're getting, close to 500,000 gel caps that are being put in jars, 60 to a jar. And so um, and every pill, every gel cap is looked at. So they sort them and they make sure that none of them got punctured during the process or didn't come out just right. And they sort those by hand and pull any defective ones out before they put them into the jars. So it's quite a process, and it also gets sent out for testing for contamination. Then they'll put them into the jars probably early next week, and seal them and put the labels on, and then they have to box them all up, put them onto pallets, and then we have to get it trucked in a refrigerated truck to come across the country from San Diego. That usually takes about 5 days, so it looks like probably around the 10th of August is the time when that process will be completed.
Excellent. Now, everyone, if you are subscribed to Bob's newsletter, you'll get this information when it's available. Boom. I'm sure I'm not speaking for you, Bob, but
Yeah,
knowing how you guys operate, you will probably put that out to everybody, the newsletter that's available right before it
yeah.
is, correct?
We'll we'll do it with an email. More
Yeah.
people are
Oh, that's what.
subscribed to email,
Well, when I
and
said
so
when
we'll
I said
email
news
everybody.
when I said
Yep.
newsletter, that's what I meant, not paper. I'm sorry. When I say newsletter, I'm thinking, like, hello, it's 2024. It comes in electronic form.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. There's this thing called email. It's really cool,
Oh, I just heard
and
about
that's
that.
what.
Wow. Yeah. Email.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We've been using it for a couple of years, and it's great. No, we'll definitely let everybody know. For anyone who's listening that hasn't heard, Myotrol is a tremendous breakthrough in the field of anti-aging. We'll talk a little bit about some of it today, how it relates to the psychological aspects as well as the physical. But it was designed to help people build muscle at any age, knowing that as we age, it's harder and harder to maintain our muscle. And in a sense, we age at the rate that we're losing muscle. There's this correlation. And when your muscle is almost wasted away, it's very hard to maintain life. And especially if you get sick, that's another really big aspect to staying healthy for a long time, is people will have sentinel events that can knock them down for a while, a serious illness or an injury, and your body needs a lot of muscle in order to survive these types of events and not become too wasted away and frail as a result of maybe needing to be in the hospital for a while. And so it's always good to have extra muscle, so if you do get sick, it doesn't create a even worse problem. But
Mhm.
that's what Myotrol was designed for. It works really well. And also, Phoenix, we just heard the other day from a person who had fibromyalgia for many, many years, and pretty severe case of it, which is this overall pain all throughout your body, pain in your muscles and your bones. And, there's different reasons why people get it, but we got a testimonial the other day from a woman who's been using the Myotrol pills for 3 months, and her fibromyalgia is completely gone.
Oh wow, that's fantastic news. That's so good because
Yeah,
a debilitating thing like that just takes people's lives away from them. That's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, if you've ever seen somebody with severe fibromyalgia, they just are very contracted. They're very frail. They're in pain. They walk and they just look like they're in pain while they're walking. They're very cautious, very debilitated, and it's just very sad to see and to know that something that was designed not wasn't designed to treat fibromyalgia, but it was designed to affect the genetic expression for muscle synthesis. And the fact that it has helped this lady is a really big breakthrough. And it could be that we accidentally stumbled upon something similar to what we've talked a little bit about before, Phoenix, where we knew that there's a gene that's responsible for the code for the production of a hormone called irisin. And we knew that Myotrol was stimulating that gene. What we didn't know until about a month ago was there was a study going on related to Alzheimer's disease and irisin, where they showed another one of these correlations where people that had Alzheimer's disease also had extremely low levels of irisin in their cerebral spinal fluid. And they're not sure
Hmm.
which came first. But in any regard, we now know that if people want to increase their irisin, if they have Alzheimer's disease or not, you can do this by taking Myotrol.
Hmm.
It stimulates that gene as well as the muscle gene, and the energy gene stimulates the gene for brain-derived nootropic factor, which we'll talk a little bit about later as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a lot of good info and a lot of good things with Myotrol. Everybody, be sure you sign up with Bob saying go to Patriot intelreport.com. Go to the lady on the blue lightning storm on the left hand side. Click on that. It'll take you to the website and it will show you where you can click on to get on their email alert list. It's right there. So, anyway, what else, Bob? What else we have before we get on topic here?
Yeah, I think that's about it for now. Um, there's a lot of built up excitement about the way our Myotrol project is progressing.
Very good.
And whenever there's a major breakthrough, um, when when there's research that's been going on for years and years with a specific, very large goal, something like building muscle like this, and it finally comes about, and then you have to get into the execution phase. So, like, we at Boomers Forever Young did not invent Myotrol. Eric Kurtz invented it, and he commissioned us to be his business associate going forward. And so now to execute getting this product out to the world is the next step. And it takes many, many, many steps in between, a lot of caution. It takes capital. It takes commitment, and it takes risk. It's a risk-taking enterprise because you really don't know what's going to happen in regard to its success. But what we're
Hmm.
really happy to see is that the testimonials from the first small group of people that are using it have continued to come in. And this one, just the other day about fibromyalgia, is like cause for a celebration.
Yeah, that's amazing, Bob. That is absolutely amazing information because you're talking about something that I remember when that first appeared, and well, that I heard of it. It was at that point. I mean, there were many doctors like this isn't real. It's psychological. We find nothing wrong with you. But they've changed. They realized that's not the fact. But in the beginning, there was a lot of questions and unknown about that condition, and a lot of people were suffering from it. And like you said, it presents in different ways to different people, and it's very debilitating. I've known people who have suffered from that, sometimes to a minor degree, but sometimes, like you said, I mean, they can hardly move.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes when the doctors will say that in regard to a lot of different cases, because if they can't quickly find a biological reason for something in your blood work or your urine, then they they will tend to think, okay, this is a psychological problem. And so, are you feeling depressed? Well, yeah. Well, of course you're feeling depressed. You have fibromyalgia, right? And so here, take this, and then it ends up not really being a very sophisticated way of helping people.
Yeah.
Sometimes a doctor will say, "All right, well, I recommend that you see this psychiatrist." All right. Well, the psychiatrists are medical doctors, and they're really good at many different things. I've known some amazing psychiatrists. The best ones are the orthomolecular psychiatrists, who tend to look for the root cause, including nutrition and childhood issues, and will help treat those with techniques other than prescribing drugs, and they use the prescribing drugs as a last resort. Now, for some people with specific types of mental issues or mental illnesses, boy, I'll tell you, they absolutely do need medication. People with psychosis and schizophrenia and this type of thing are going to be in really, really bad shape without the modern medications that help people with those things. And so you have to be realistic. It's good to be holistic and all natural, but there are certain uh, mental illnesses, just like there are certain physical illnesses where there have been great inventions that people can take advantage of with the help of a doctor. But at the same time, you want to give equal consideration to some of the other technologies in addition to the medications. And so, but it's very real in terms of psychological aspects that contribute to people's health. And now, with the new research that they're beginning to show, that it contributes to aging as well.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say that's a good segue because we're talking about today the physical and the psychological aspects of aging or to prevent premature aging. And that's our topic again today. What's the proper name of that again, Bob?
so, the science itself, the overarching science, is what is called geroscience, or the science of aging. And the psychological aspect is called psychogenic aging. And specifically, how psychological aspects of your life contribute to your longevity, your potential longevity, as well as your health span, how healthy you will be over time. And the new research is showing, with very real types of studies that tie the psychology into the biology, in particular how it relates to aging. And they're developing additional additional factors that can go into the the overarching um, the overarching picture of aging. And it's um, particularly as they start to measure various things. And this is one of the most surprising things, Phoenix, as they begin to measure things like adverse childhood experiences. And they now have studies that show that these adverse childhood experiences, such as growing up in an abusive household, whether it's physical or psychological, and having depression when you're young, having difficulty in school, being bullied, all these different things. They're able to categorize them, and what they found in one recent study was for people that have had 6 or more of these adverse childhood experiences, they, on average, they live 20 years less than people that did not have adverse childhood experiences
Oh,
like
wow.
these.
That's
20
crazy.
20
Wow.
years.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
And so it absolutely is a real phenomena. They're saying that this relates to all-cause mortality. So it's the main things like heart disease and stroke and cancer and diabetes and Alzheimer's disease. These are the main things that people tend to get earlier in life if they've had these adverse childhood experiences. And really, I think that starting back in 2020 is when people really started to pay attention more to these psychogenic aspects of aging. People were very isolated during that a couple-year period. Isolation is a huge contributor to rapid aging, and also people just in general not being able to socialize kind of leads to depression. Depression leads to increased inflammation, which leads to these 5 diseases that we were just talking about. And it's no longer just a kind of a readiness to believe that there's contributing factors to aging that are psychological. It's now documented. They can actually document the exact sequence of the chemistry in a person's body related to isolation, loneliness, depression. They know exactly which cytokines are being overexpressed, and it's being incorporated now into the large overarching study of aging. And, we knew that there were contributing factors going way back, to when I used to teach classes for Pace University in gerontology. I was a professor of gerontology. It was it was the biological aspects of aging, sociological aspects of aging, psychological aspects of aging, and there were textbooks on each of these individually, but there wasn't any research yet about the details of the biochemistry relating to these psychological aspects. And now that there is, we're beginning to really consider when therapists, nutritionists, doctors are helping people who are aging, in addition to the biological aspects, they're giving equal consideration to the psychological. And so if you look at, for example, on our podcast page, if you go to our website and you click on podcasts and blogs, half of our podcasts are not about nutrition, even though that's what our company it sells. We sell high-end nutrition products. We understand that the psychological aspects are of equal, if not more, importance. And so there's podcasts on numerous different therapeutic techniques and elements of aging related to psychology.
Yeah, very cool. You've talked a lot about the nocebo effect, and that ties right into this. And it's fascinating, Bob, that those it was that many years ago that you were actually teaching classes on this, and now here we are, decades later. It's like becoming a thing. You're a trendsetter, buddy, freaking trendsetter.
I was I was teaching from somebody else's textbook, but we it was the first time really that you had a college course that taught all of those things at the same time and tried to integrate them.
Very cool.
And it was important because they have this whole framework that was introduced quite a long time ago called the hallmarks of aging, and it was on issues such as your mitochondria function, the rate of repair of your DNA, your telomeres, and now this the concept of the hallmarks of aging is starting to realize that the psychological is really not separate, and so they're creating diagrams, and they're with causes and effects and sequences that look like extremely elaborate physics experiments when they try to connect all the dots between all these things. And you can see that when you look at elements of your DNA, for example, um, people's DNA is not permanent. DNA is the code for your life, your God-given code, and every cell in your body has DNA in it, and it's from that code that the rest of our apparatus that builds our bodies and repairs them continuously rises from. But that DNA is not insulated from the environment. It's subject to being damaged the same way that your skin is subject to being damaged from a cut. Your DNA is subject to cuts and snips in it from things like inflammation and toxicity. And so our bodies are continuously repairing our DNA. So DNA, the genes are in pairs, identical pairs, one across from another. And if one on one side gets damaged, it'll get repaired by a special type of RNA that will go to the gene on the other side and make a copy of the intact gene, and then come back over and provide information how to repair the damaged gene, so that it's again identical to the one across from it. And this is happening every second of every day. Your body is repairing its own DNA, and you're spending a tremendous amount of energy doing that. Well, we know that people that are under stress are damaging their DNA much faster than people who are capable of managing their stress. And this is a huge aspect of aging. And if people, not only if people are having adverse childhood experiences, but parents who are having adverse adult experiences, if they're raising a child who is challenging, if they are a child with a disability, for example, we know that the people that age the fastest are women who are raising children with a disability.
You have mentioned that before, and I can tell you, I thinking back, I've known women. Basically, when I was younger, I don't know anyone now who did that, and I can see it. I can remember their faces and how they were. They were, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was evident in their faces and how they're moving. It's energetically, emotionally, and physically draining.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not only their DNA, but the function of their mitochondria is also um, diminished, and your mitochondria has its own DNA. So in your cell, there's a nucleus that has um, DNA in it, nucleic DNA, but then surrounding the nucleus are all these little organelles called mitochondria, and they have their own DNA. And when people are under stress or they're very sedentary, we know that the DNA from the mitochondria can actually leak out of the mitochondria into the cell and leak out of the cell itself into the bloodstream. And it's signaling inside the bloodstream a sequence of events that causes tremendous inflammation.
Okay, now real quick before you move
Mm-hmm.
further away from this point, you're telling us that the this condition can happen because of extreme stress that people are going under and it can cause this, but you're saying is also equally the same with extreme sedentariness where people just like are couch potatoes? Is that what you're saying? So, like, if someone's just like totally chilling on the couch, they don't do anything, they barely walk, they barely do anything at all physical, that this exact same event happens?
Yeah, it does. And, being sedentary is, in general, because of these cascades, is a much more inflammatory lifestyle than not. And
Mm,
so
wow.
when you're sedentary, you're not moving and you're not exercising your muscles. So for example, when you're not exercising, when you exercise, your muscles produce a lot of different things. They're not just muscle for lifting heavy things. The process of exercise creates the manufacture and release of a hormone called irisin. And irisin is a vital hormone, and it's very tightly related to Alzheimer's disease. And so, in a sense, now they're looking at research that is suggesting, boy, people that are sedentary are much more susceptible to Alzheimer's disease. And they can tell from the amount of irisin in the cerebral spinal fluid. And so that's another reason why, we're excited about Myotrol, is because we know it increases your levels of irisin, and gives you more energy and incentive to get up and move around, which gives you even more irisin.
Mm.
And so this is what's cool about science and scientific research. When you have institutes, whether they're at a university level or private research institutes like, Eric Kurtz has, the creator of Myotrol, these are the types of things that are being discovered and are now being able to be taken advantage of. And so before we go too much farther, Phoenix, let's talk about one or two possible things that people can do. So if you're a person that's had numerous adverse childhood experiences, and they'll say, well, you're going to die 20 years younger. Well, there's one other aspect to that that makes it so you might not die. And there's research that shows that if you are the type of person who's very resilient, that you won't die. You won't die any earlier.
Okay, before you go on, Bob, it made me smile. It's not funny, but I'm thinking, oh my God, I didn't even think about this. But when you said yes, and people with adverse childhood, things in childhood, they will die 20 years earlier. I didn't think, but there's probably people listening right now to this broadcast. They're like, oh my God, I had a horrible
Yeah.
childhood. Like, well,
Yes.
I'm so
Right.
glad you're bringing this up because there's
Yeah.
probably some people are like, oh no. So,
And so this is what you do about it, right?
okay.
So it's not inevitable,
Yeah, it's not inevitable, everyone. Thank you. Bob,
but
I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't even
uh,
think about that. But I'm sure
yeah,
there was somebody who just oh my God, when you said that, because, we all know somebody who went through something like that.
yeah,
Anyway, please continue.
yeah. So it's not inevitable. There's many, many different forms of therapy that people can go through. And I can tell you, from experience of knowing very, very highly accomplished therapists. I mean, they were helping people that had been through hundreds of adverse childhood experiences to the point where they had developed multiple personality disorders with 20 or 30 different personalities in order to avoid the fact that this was happening to them. And that's part of what happens with severe trauma. People create a second personality so the trauma is not happening to them. Because, oh, well, that's not Johnny. I'm over here now and I'm Susie, right? And people that have multiple personality disorders, they will actually have different physical characteristics when they're in their other personality. Their eye color will change.
What?
One personality has diabetes, the other personality does not have diabetes. Okay.
Wait,
And
wait, 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 wait. Their eye color will change? I've never heard that. Are you
mhm,
serious?
yeah. hmm
Are you? I have
And so,
never heard that before. That's crazy. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So, however, with very skilled therapists, they can they can even help people that have been this severely traumatized, and help them to a point where they can live a relatively normal life and not age so dramatically, right? And resilience is that's a form of resilience, this creation of multiple personalities. But there's a lot of other research on resilience, and a lot of it relates to heart rate variability. And we know that people that have more heart rate variability are more resilient than people who don't. And so what can you do to increase your resilience? Well, there's a technology called heart math, HEARTMATH, and you can get a device called Inner Balance. It's a simple looking device. It clips to your ear, has a transponder that plugs into your cell phone, and your cell phone has an app, and it leads you through a series of exercises that help change the way your heart beats. And as your heart beats with more variability, the more resilient you become. And part of the reason is that the app is helping you to focus on gratitude. What is it that you're grateful for, as opposed to, boy, things really aren't okay with my life. So people that are always reiterating and reinforcing that things are not okay have a very narrow heart rate variability, and they're not very resilient. They're under constant stress, right? However, people that can practice and learn to focus on gratitude and be upbeat and not be awfulizing everything all the time are going to change their heart rate. And these are the types of people with that kind of resilience that are going to be able to overcome the adverse childhood experiences. And together, to go along with that, what works really well is the technique created by Dr. Rudin, who wrote the book When the Past is Always Present. And he wrote um, a, a book about that. And he created a technique called havening, which we've talked about before. But if people want to learn how to do havening, you certainly can find our podcasts. We have three different podcasts on havening that people can watch, and this is a technique you can learn to do for yourself, by yourself. That and this is one of the things about the biology of aging related to the psychology, Phoenix. When you do havening, which is rubbing your hands together gently and repeating certain phrases, we now know that it changes the actual neurochemistry that's going on in your brain. And it starts by altering the brain waves, which are a prerequisite to certain neurochemistry. And certain neurochemistry only occurs in the presence of specific types of brain waves in that part of your brain. And if you can change that wave, you can change the chemistry and change your life. And that's what havening is doing. It's changing a very specific part of your amygdala. It's changing the brainwave from beta to delta, and the neurochemistry of flashbacks, trauma, PTSD cannot occur in the presence of beta waves. Going for neurobiofeedback therapy itself is also another technique.
Hold on one second, Bob.
Extremely effective.
Bob, I just thought about something. When you're talking about havening and rubbing hands together and, closing your eyes and saying certain phrases, I swear something came to mind. And this is me, what I do with, sometimes we get a little off topic, but what came into mind was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So, Bob, I'm asking you this. By Dorothy closing her eyes and clicking her heels together 3 times and repeating a phrase, "There's no place like home, there's no place like home." Was that a form of havening, you think?
It probably more like a form of the emotional freedom technique.
Okay, there we go. But still, the whole thing, the wizard said, "Here's what you do," and she did kind of like that. She centered herself. She closed her eyes. She repeated a phrase over and over while she physically did something. Kind of like the emotional freedom technique, and the next thing you know, everything changed for her. So anyway, sorry, that's okay. I hadn't really taken us off topic yet, so there we go. I did it, and I'm done. So
that's good
because it's kind of still on topic, right?
That's really good.
But I couldn't help myself when you're saying that. I'm thinking about Dorothy. Close your eyes, and you do this over, and repeat this. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what Dorothy did. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, guys.
That's good. I like it. So this is kind of what the scientists that are now incorporating the psychogenic aspects of aging, into the whole matrix of the understanding of aging and the strategies to age, in a more healthful way. These are some of the things that can be used. And people that are doing these types of things aren't necessarily thinking of them in regards to aging. So Dr. Rudin wasn't thinking about helping people to live longer in a more healthy state when he created havening. He created it for people who were drug addicts and alcoholics who were not doing well in therapy, traditional therapy. And he created havening to help them to be able to do better in their other therapy. But as it turns out, we now know that it's literally changing your brain waves and your neurochemistry, and it is changing the availability of your brain-derived nootropic factor, which is your molecule of motivation, and is changing your rate of inflammation all throughout your body. When people are under stress, this has a profound effect on their adrenal glands, which will produce more and more cortisol at the wrong time of the day or night, which leads to tremendous inflammation. And the same with the people that created HeartMath and created the inner balance device. They weren't thinking of it as a longevity technology. They were thinking of it as a way to change your heart rate variability and be happier. Because people that are awfulizing and have a constant feedback loop between their amygdala, their frontal cortex, and their heart muscle, the neurites in their heart muscle get caught in a loop of awfulizing. And they know how painful that can be and how unhappy people are that get stuck that way, and they created the HeartMath technology of inner balance to solve that problem. But now we know that this also is helping you to live longer, and it's extending your health span during that period of time that you're living longer.
Very good. Yeah,
Yep.
people literally have heart attacks out of fear and worry, and they'll get so stressed that it does that. I mean, literally, there's a biblical thing: men's hearts shall fail them for things they see coming upon the earth. And it is very well known. People have gotten into extremely stressed or fearful situations, and what you just described happens in a cascading effect, and their heart shuts down. They have a heart attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other aspects that aren't quite as acutely fearful, that are things like loneliness and boredom, which started occurring at much higher rates in 2020. Those things lead to sleep problems, and we know that sleep problems are going to lead to all kinds of physical problems. And so what's the cure for it?
Hang on 1 second before you give us the cure.
Mm-hmm.
I had another thought just now, and it's not like crazy off topic, but basically what you're describing is this slow, being lonely or emotionally, negative, awfulizing. Basically what we're talking here, it's the same effect, but cumulative. So we're basically talking about when you have the wrong mindset, you're fearful, and you're not in a good psychological state, you're basically giving yourself a slow motion heart attack. It's literally you're building up for a heart failure, inflammation, and problems in slow motion. So it's literally the inducing of a slow motion heart attack.
Yeah, it is. And these, especially the ones that cause inflammation, are damaging your circulatory system at a very high rate. Your capillaries, which is where your oxygen and your nutrients are delivered from the capillary into the cells, they're very tiny and delicate, and under stress, they're not going to function very well. And circulation is a vital aspect of survival. Human beings require circulation to stay alive. We are big mammals, and our arms stretch 6 feet across, and some of us are 6 feet tall, and we have to have blood and lymph and cerebral spinal fluid all moving very fluidly and easily all throughout our body to constantly deliver oxygen. Think about this. You can't live for more than 5 minutes on average without oxygen. And oxygen is being circulated via your capillaries to your cells. And so circulation is vital, and people that are aging faster than others, whether it's from adverse child experiences or other types of stress, things like fibromyalgia, your capillaries are going to suffer greatly, your circulation is going to suffer greatly, and your whole body is going to be deplete of oxygen and nutrients. And it's worse. These types of things, Phoenix, are worse than people who smoke cigarettes.
Wow.
If you have unattended to adverse childhood experiences, it will take more years off of your life than smoking.
You know what? I think maybe one of the aspects, because we all know the dangers of smoking, the toxins, etc. But sometimes people, when they smoke, they have a sense of relaxation, and it kind of relaxes them. So it kind of counters that negative effect. So I can actually see physiologically how that would be, because it's the mental state they go into, not so much what they're physically doing to their body, but the mental state while they're doing that is, like you said, not as damaging as people who have these other worries and stuff, the awfulizing.
Yep, absolutely. The other thing to really pay attention to in regard to your psychological state is your microbiome. Psychological states are affected by the balance of your neurochemistry, the balance of your dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine, and to a large extent, it's controlled by the veracity of your microbiome, the the colony of bacteria that's in your gut is helping to produce your neurotransmitters, and it's conveyed message wise and otherwise, through your enteric nerves and your vagus nerve, which starts in your brain and comes out, through the back of your skull and down into your whole alimentary canal. And and so one of the really great ways to manage your microbiome is by taking in either good bacteria or the metabolites that are created by bacteria, or both. And there's a particularly important bacteria that's called Lactobacillus reuteri that we know helps to produce more oxytocin, a neurotransmitter. And oxytocin is very important. It's your molecule of love and desire, and also the molecule that allows women to give birth, allows their hips to become wider. And we know when you take Lactobacillus reuteri pills, you will tend to have more oxytocin. And women say, Phoenix, that the biggest benefit that they see from lactobacillus is their husbands become less annoying and more loving.
Now, oh, wait a minute. Okay, you're blowing my mind now. Okay, they're taking it. The women are taking it, but their husbands
No,
become.
their husbands are taking it as well.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say the women are taking it and they're noticing changes in their husbands. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, you
You're
probably could. I
yeah.
can tell you this. When the husbands take it, you notice a change in the woman for certain, because the women are now less irritable, less angry, because their husband is much nicer.
Oh my God, this
Yeah,
is okay. This is a whole other energetic and psychological topic we've talked about before. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah, your attitude, your energy, and how it affects the waves from your heart onto everyone else. So yeah, that's all
yeah,
100%
yeah,
real and true. And yeah, we all
yeah.
know that.
And yeah. And I mean, this information is coming from some of the most famous anti-aging medical doctors in the world, and they themselves take Lactobacillus reuteri, and I take it every morning with my Myotrol.
Okay, cool. Now,
Yeah,
how can now I don't remember looking on the Boomer site and seeing lactose
no,
whatever.
no,
What
you
do you?
can't get it from there, but you can. What we do with probiotics is we make metabolites for you in a very special way, because ultimately what you're after when you take in probiotics is you're waiting for the good bacteria to get into your gut, and it interacts with fiber from your diet, and it creates hundreds of different metabolites, meaning downstream new molecules that help with every aspect of your life, including your neurotransmitters. And it was created as a way to help people that couldn't even get neurotransmitters the other way because they had their colon removed or it was diseased. And so this is done for you metabolites. But I take that powder every day as well. So I have all of those metabolites, because there's a lot more to your brain chemistry than just oxytocin.
Yeah, and that
And
powder. The name of that powder again in your product list.
it's called Boomer's Premium Probiotics.
Boomer's Premium Probiotic. I've got it. I've used it, and a lot of people swear by it. It's a powder, everyone. It's not a pill. Comes with a little scoop. There's instructions, and some people, I know Bob's told us in the past, he just lets it dissolve in his mouth. You can mix it in with your boomers. You can use it in a lot of different ways, but yeah, it's available right there with all those benefits.
Yeah, the other powder that we mentioned at the beginning, Phoenix, which is on sale right now, is our lignans. And lignans spelled Lignans, and lignans are a class of plant compounds, and they're considered polyphenols, and they are in abundance in the wax that's on the outside of certain seeds, including the flaxseed, which has the most, and the flaxseed has all of the 27 different known lignans. And that these, because there's so many different ones, that helps with a lot of things. And we know two of the things that helps in regard to aging are that it helps with both depression and with anxiety. And depression or anxiety, we now know, is going to contribute to you aging faster. But in addition, lignans have a very high anti-inflammatory factor. And it goes together with other antioxidants or anti-inflammatory compounds that are also really great for you. And so attending to your microbiome is really important. But ultimately, human beings are protein-making machines. We make over 100,000 different proteins from the code in our DNA. And each person has their own unique proteome or capability to make certain amounts of all these different proteins. But part of your proteome is what else you're doing in order to be able to make these proteins that your DNA is uniquely coded for. And part of how that works is what you take in by mouth, because in order to make human proteins, you have to have the building blocks, the amino acids, which are the building blocks of those proteins, and you have to have the metabolic enzymes that glue those building blocks together and make them into these elaborate proteins. And so part of managing your proteome, which has a dramatic effect on your healthy aging, including how much muscle you maintain, which leads to how much irisin that you have to take in the right building blocks. And so that's what we do, Phoenix, with our Gladiator barley that we give to people. It's another powder, and it has all of the different amino acids that are necessary to make all the different proteins, and it has the metabolic enzymes in there as well. And that's why when people take Gladiator barley in a glass of water, and they very quickly start to get stronger, and they very quickly cleanse their body of toxins all throughout their body, and also cleanse their small intestine where you're absorbing nutrients. So the other nutrients you're taking in, your lignans, your probiotics, your ashwagandha, your resveratrol, your olive leaf, can all be absorbed very efficiently. And that sprouted barley seed makes arrangements for that. And these are all aspects of your aging. Without the right facilitators of your proteome, you're definitely not going to live as long as otherwise.
True. Well, Bob, now that's a lot of information. You filled us in on a lot. It's really fascinating. And we are rolling up on the end of the hour here, so we're going to have to wrap this up. You know what? How about we go into some your final closing thoughts on this, some words of wisdom, and also before you can even get into that, Again, everyone, you can go to patriotintelreport.com. Look up on the left-hand side, leading the blue lightning storm. Click on that. Or Bob has a phone number, locations, and other stuff. So why don't you fill us in with all that, Bob? Closing thoughts and some wisdom you can leave us with before we leave on this weekend's Patriot Health Report.
Sure. So, yeah, people can give us a call at 800-861-4609. We're open Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 Eastern Time. And if you have questions or if you need help to get your lignins or Goodnight formula or whatever it is you want to get that's on sale now, the people answering the phone can help you with all that and give you information you'll need for what might be just right for you. And also, if you go to PatriotIntelReport.com, you'll be able to see up on the top left, you'll see this box that has a picture of what looks like a lady in a blue lightning storm. And if you click that lady in the blue lightning, you'll end up on our website. And right at the very front of the website, it shows you how to get those products that are on sale and also how to access the podcasts and blogs that teach about havening, the emotional freedom technique, and inner balance. And you'll see right at the top navigation bar, podcasts and blog, and you can just click right on that. And the other thing that I was going to say, if people are interested in seeing an article, there's a journal that's called Translational Psychiatry. And if people are interested in an article about psychogenic aging, you can find that in that journal. And it was in the July episode of that journal, and it's called Psychogenic Aging, a novel prospect to integrate psychobiological hallmarks of aging. And there's numerous different authors. The first author's last name is Faria, Manuel Faria, Faria.
Fascinating.
And yeah, so that's if people want to learn more about it, that's what you can do. You can also just do some internet searches on it if you want to learn more. But most importantly is learn how to do the techniques and learn the right nutritional products that can help you to be the person that is going to have a very long lifespan and will be very, very healthy all throughout that lifespan.
Very good. Well, I tell you what, that sums up really well, Bob. Psychogenic aging, fascinating topic, and we're going to sum this up, everyone. Like I said in the beginning, you're as young as you feel. As a man or woman thinketh, so he is. I mean, seriously, your mindset has, think on gratitude, think on good things. Don't, like Bob says, I always get a chuckle out of awfulize. Don't awfulize. And be positive in things. And you know what? Learn forgiveness for others. Many times we get caught in a loop, of living in the past by having resentment towards something that happened to us. You have to forgive. Forgiveness is so important in releasing that, but also forgiving yourself. We all make mistakes in life. Everybody. Nobody listening to me right now, myself, Bob, anybody has ever gone through life without making a mistake. We regret. Okay, you have to forgive yourself of that. That's the entire process also. But again, Bob gave us all kinds of assets, all kinds of things we can look at. But then again, that kind of sums it up. But it's so important, and I hope that everyone can be more positive and see things a little differently. And kind of, if you're having a problem, follow some of Bob's techniques and his recommendations of where to get help to release that pain, so you can be the best that you can be for yourself and for those whom you love. Bob, thank you so much for sharing this really great information. I always have a blast every time you come on, and dude, you make me think about some weird things. Sometimes you freak me out, but sometimes you just like make me laugh, some of the things I think about when you're talking. But I appreciate it very much, because if it stimulates my mind, I know it stimulates all of our listeners, and I appreciate that, Bob.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Phoenix.
You're
I look forward to our next time.
Oh, yeah, me too. I always do. So that's it, everyone. Your Patriot Health Report for August 3rd, 2024. Heads up and be on the lookout for the next health report. And remember, PatriotIntelReport.com, Lady in the Blue Lightning Storm. Click on that. If you didn't have a pen, you're driving, you couldn't write Bob's info down, but you can listen again. Anyway, until the next time, everyone, God bless, be well, be the best you can be. Check Bob's website, and until the next one, God bless, and Bob and Phoenix out.